There are really weird things out in the solar system, and we may have figured out why. Most of the solar system is pretty well behaved, but in the distant reaches, out past the orbit of Neptune and far from the light of the sun, things can get a little strange, according to scientists. There are a bunch of rocks orbiting the sun in patterns totally different from the objects found closer in. And because of this apparent detachment from the rest of the solar system, these dark icy bodies are known as detached objects, and astronomers have been searching for an explanation of why they act so weirdly. By far, the most well-known explanation would be the hypothetical existence of Planet 9, or Planet X, or Nibiru, or Nemesis, or Wormwood, whatever you want to call it, a large unseen planet lurking about in the solar system's fringes, gravitationally bumping and pulling and gravitationally affecting these detached objects into their strange orbits. But Planet 9 is not the only option, and now a pair of astrophysicists believe they have found the best explanation yet, and according to their analysis, it's not Planet 9 wrecking those detached orbits. Rather, they find the collective gravity of the detached objects themselves has introduced instabilities that shifted the orbits over millions of years. They said, this region of space, which is so much closer to us than stars in our galaxy and other things that we can observe just fine, is just so unknown to us. This is what Anne-Marie Madigan, astrophysicist from University of Colorado Boulder, says. She says, we're the first team to be able to reproduce everything, all the weird orbital anomalies that scientists have seen over the years. Although we can't see what's out past Neptune easily, it's hard to see something even a few hundred kilometers across where so little light reaches. There's a growing body of evidence for a reasonable populated region. We're not talking about the Kuiper Belt, which extends from just beyond the orbit of Neptune, around 30 astronomical units or AUs. As we know, 1 AU is the distance from the Earth to the Sun, which is about 93 million miles, to a little way beyond the farthest point on the orbit of Pluto, about 55 astronomical units. The behavior of Kuiper Belt objects is well understood for the most part, but detached objects are even farther from the Sun. There's Lekeakuhonua, which only comes as close as 65 AU at perihelion, or its closest approach to the Sun, with an aphelion of 2,106 AU. And then there's Sedna. It swings between 76 and 937 astronomical units. Then there's Far, Far Out. That was detected at a distance of 140 AU. So you get the idea. And it's not just the distance. These bodies are not nice, tidy orbits. Instead, their orbits are usually highly elliptical and on a tilted angle relative to the more or less flat plane of the solar system, two properties known respectively as eccentricity and inclination. Also, the bodies occasionally seem to come into alignment, suggesting a common instigator for all strangeness. And to find an explanation for what's going on, Madigan and her colleagues, astrophysicist Alexander Derrick of the University of Colorado Boulder, conducted simulations of the outer solar system using the power of a supercomputer for the computational intense task of accounting for the collective and individual masses of these outer solar system objects. This is not dissimilar to research conducted by the pair published in 2018, but the new simulation was updated to be more realistic. Derrick said, we modeled something that may have once existed in the outer solar system, and also added in the gravitational influence of the giant planets like Jupiter. The simulation covered the region between 100 and 1,000 astronomical units and ran for a variety of configurations and a range of masses with a starting point of an orderly orbit around the Sun. The detached objects did not remain orderly for long, though, particularly at the highest collective masses. As time passed in the simulation, the objects started to interact, pushing and pulling each other and knocking off course. In the end, the simulation achieved a result that looks a lot like the orbits of the detached objects today. It did, however, require a fair bit of mass in the outer solar system. You needed objects that added up to something on the order of 20 Earth masses, Madigan said. That's theoretically possible, but it's definitely going to be bumping up against people's beliefs. The total mass is also a fair bit chunkier than Planet 9. Nevertheless, the result is a strong competitor to the Planet 9 theory, especially since Madigan, Cedric, and their colleagues are not the only team to have demonstrated the possibility that a bunch of rocks could be the culprit. In addition, 2 separate surveys have identified new swarms of detached objects, data incorporated into simulations that show no evidence of the seeming alignment thought to indicate the presence of Planet 9. But we're probably going to have to wait for better instruments to finally make a ruling on one way or the other. A lot of the recent fascination with the outer solar system is related to technological advances, Dedrick said. You really need the newest generation of telescopes to observe these bodies. The research has been published in the Astronomical Journal, and this is on Science Alert by Michael Starr. Now, the telescopes that they're using, I hope they are X-ray telescopes in order not to rely on the sun's light. If you have something that's infrared or X-ray telescope, at least you can see what's out there. So anyway, tell me what you think. This is on Science Alert, and it's astonishing that they found that these. I hope they don't. These outer body, these hypothetical distant detached objects don't collide with each other at one point. That would be bad news. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.